I cannot believe this Fantastic Four movie would have wokeness and women with powers and people of color in it and stuff because racism, anti-racism, woke butt poop. I was messing around. hey, hey, guess what? I like the Fantastic Four movie. I got none of those silly ass complaints from all those other dorks. I'm here to tell you how the Fantastic Four movie, First Steps, is pretty fantastic. Aloha, movie nerds, dorks, and weirdos. Welcome to the New Movie Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Salanoa, filmmaker of over 17 years, giving you the filmmaker's perspective on movies. Sometimes I'm going to get deep, sometimes not so deep. We'll see what I give you today. All right, this is my fresh, spoiler-free reaction to Fantastic Four First Steps. Let me tell you, I was sold on this movie within the first 10 minutes. The opening scene is a very intimate scene. The following 10 minutes are so much cool action. Let me tell you, what got me sold on the movie was Mr. Fantastic. Seeing him use his powers, be all stretchy, and it does look corny and goofy. This is what the power is, right? But he is fighting characters from the comics. We literally get the Fantastic Four first comic book image, the cover image of the Fantastic Four fighting that big monster that actually happens in this movie. So much amazing stuff happens in this movie, but that first 10 minutes when we see Mr. Fantastic move, when I saw him move, and I loved it. I was like, okay, I'm sold into this picture. You got me. Because the one thing that I've heard of it in other videos, and it's definitely true for me, although maybe I didn't accept it until now. Yeah, Mr. Fantastic stretchy powers, they are so goofy and cartoony. But this movie doesn't shy away from it, and just the fact that it starts off with that, it's very much, this movie is like The Incredibles. The Incredibles back in 2004 was always the promise of what the Fantastic Four could be, but they couldn't do the Fantastic Four, so they were doing it as The Incredibles, a sort of original take on a known IP. Ooh. And please forgive me for looking so sweaty. I do live in Southern California. It's 94 degrees. I'm originally a Bay Area boy, so this is a lot for me. This is a lot of heat for me. Hot for me used to be 75, okay? Now I'm in another climate. But yeah, the first 10 minutes on this movie, seeing Mr. Fantastic by himself, I knew they had already nailed in my heart and mind when I saw the original Fantastic Four movie. I thought The Thing, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, the effects aspect, the action aspect of seeing their powers in use was already sold. So I wasn't worried about that stuff, but it truly was. How are you going to make Mr. Fantastic even necessary with these goofy powers? But they really make it work right in the first 10 minutes of the movie. That's what got me in. Again, seeing that monster from the comic book, the original cover of the first Fantastic Four comic, that was incredible. And this movie, it really is right from the start The Incredibles. The Incredibles was always a Fantastic Four ripoff, but this movie is The Incredibles, but back to who they actually are as the Fantastic Four. And I think it's just wonderful that 20 years later, after The Incredibles came out, live action animation has finally gotten us to the point, and a director's vision has got us to the point where we can have a legitimate comic book cartoony, goofy experience while still watching a movie that feels legitimate. I really like the heart of this movie is Reed Richards and Sue Storm, played by Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby. And I did not expect Pedro Pascal to become my favorite Reed Richards. I thought for sure it's still going to be Johan Griffold from the first movie. I hope I got that name right. I actually watched the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four movies last night just to sort of warm myself up and kind of remind myself, hey, I did enjoy those movies. I knew what they were. We all knew what they were back then. They were just barely trying to get normal people to accept these characters that the kids already grew up with Saturday morning cartoons adoring. So it was a struggle to get that older audience into the movie theater with their kids. And we know what those movies were, but I thought the action always delivered. But here we are 20 years later, and my first Marvel comic was actually The Marvels, painted by Alex Ross. Drawn or painted, I can't remember if he drew it, but everything looked like a painting. Every image was so beautiful and gorgeous. And watching the Fantastic Four fight and duke it out, and the way they're posed, and the way they're shot, and the way the Human Torch's flames come off of him, and it looks exactly like the Alex Ross rendition of them in the Marvel's comic book, which I thought that's such a beautiful comic book for marrying this sort of, they are dressed up in goofy costumes, but they also look like real people. So in a weird way, it's the Marvels is our first cinematic experience of Marvel characters because it made them look real and had this wonderful storyline of a young photojournalist who grows old. He's a young man who grows old watching all the Marvel superheroes come up and everything that happens with them. And when he gets older, spoiler alert, he looks like Stan Lee, except with Nick Fury's patch over his eye. The experience of this movie was a mixture of the Incredibles being in their true form as the Fantastic Four, as I said, but also the Marvels in terms of the visual presentation. What I appreciate for this non-spoiler review is that the trailer actually shows very little of this movie. Although there's a lot of action in the trailer, and I didn't watch any further trailers than that first official trailer. So if there was more that everybody else saw, I didn't see it. I just watched that first big trailer that was incredible, and I had a feeling I would enjoy this movie, and I'll have a link to that initial review in the description. But I had a feeling this was going to be a good movie. I liked where it was going, but the experience of the movie lives up to that trailer, and I was just blown away. This is the true Marvel experience as far as I'm concerned. And I'll admit, hey, I'm not the biggest comic book reader. I have read comic books. I do have a small collection, and most of it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. He is my favorite Marvel hero. But I would say, like, this movie is that kind of nice, massaging combination between Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which I still say to this day is Spider-Man. It's the 60s Spider-Man in modern day. And especially Spider-Man 2, but across all the movies, especially Spider-Man 2 had that Alex Ross approach. There's the famous Alex Ross painting of Spider-Man hanging upside down, taking a photograph through a window or through a train window. And the camera's not there, but that shot is in the movie of Spider-Man 2 when Spider-Man's fighting Doc Ock on that incredible train sequence. And what this movie does is it takes what Sam Raimi did to the next level, and it completely immerses us in that comic book universe. Now that we have the money and the technology to do it, we are in the comic book universe when we're in this movie. The world building is all the first 10 minutes, which again, that's what sold me. but also truly the trailer. If all you saw was that first official trailer, like I did, then this movie has so much for you to see, and this is truly the Fantastic Four versus Galactus and the Silver Surfer. It's not like this movie, which I enjoyed. Not a bad movie, and again, I also watched this just to get it out of my head. You know, I wasn't worried about it. You know, to people who are freaking out because Silver Surfer is a woman in this situation. And again, what annoys me is like if you're a comic book fan and you know that there is a female Silver Surfer in the comics, then what exactly are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? I just don't get it. It's as if you are just out there to complain and that's your mission. You're whining for views. I don't respect it. I don't care for it. You can just whine in a corner as far as I'm concerned. Again, I watched this because, hey, we had that. We had that version of Silver Surfer on the big screen already. And honestly, I think for the most part, it holds up. I mean, he still looks very CGI, but I think it holds up. And then when you see him in physical form, the whole time he was played by Doug Jones, but when you see his depowered form, Doug Jones gives a wonderful, perfect performance as Norrin Rad. And so I'm completely fine with. I've had that theater experience, and that's out there. That's available on Disney Plus for people to watch. This Fantastic Four takes place in the multiverse. It's not the main MCU. If anything, overall, it's much closer to the comic book with this difference. And I'm totally fine with it because Julia Garner is fantastic as Shalabal Silver Surfer. And she just nails it. Her voice is perfect. I think there's some voice modding, but the delivery is perfect. And I think if you watch the movie, it makes sense. Like it really makes sense with where the characters go in this movie. I'm not going to spoil that part because to me, that was the surprise that kept me locked in when we saw how the relationships change in this movie. So again, having already had this Silver Surfer, I'm like, okay, we had it. We had it. I'm okay. I am okay. I don't, and I don't even care. Like a comic book fan is angry. I'm sorry. Like we did have it, even if you didn't like it. We had it. So I just think, to me, null and void. Go into this movie and you decide if you like it. Don't worry about whoever hates it, or don't even care if people love it. If you're interested in seeing this movie, go see it. Especially if you're a fan of The Incredibles and you like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, which to me, I have that's the comic I've read the most. I have the original first volume, and it's so that those movies are so true to the initial 60s version of Spider-Man, who was less wisecracking and more serious, and he was really bogged down by his problems. I mean, that is what Sam Raimi grew up with. So if you like that kind of classic era storytelling, and also on top of that, the movie feels like an older retro movie. It feels like a movie from, I'd say, maybe a mixture of 50s and 60s. But yeah, I really love the technology. I love that they do have amazing advanced technology, and yet there's still these kind of retro looks to how their computer systems look and all that, and how their presentations look. They don't have holograms or anything like that. They still have that very retro 60s, 2001, lots of buttons and lots of lights presentation. But overall, I just think this was a fantastic experience. It was worth seeing how the Silver Surfer interacts with the Fantastic Four and where those journeys go. It was worth seeing how Galactus is presented. And like I said, this is a true Fantastic Four versus Silver Surfer and Galactus movie. The trailer makes it look like it's just going to be this movie again, but look nicer. And it's not. It's so much better. It's a true experience, and we're getting a really nice, understated story with our main cast as well, where they truly do feel like a gelled cast. They feel like a family. I like seeing the direction on this one. Matt Shackman is our director. He gave us the WandaVision series, which was excellent, and that was also a very retro driven. I've always loved the shot in WandaVision where Wanda comes down in her classic outfit, and again, it looks like the Alex Ross painting of Scarlet Witch. So he's clearly always had this in his head to do things like this. And I brought this up in my trailer review back in my old podcast, but I did leave a comment a long time ago on, was it Kevin Feige on Marvel Studios? I did leave a comment a long time ago. I lost the comment, but I did leave a comment saying that the Fantastic Four should be a retro 60s movie because their powers are so goofy, but if you put them in the time period that they came from, it won't feel so goofy because you'll have the style and the period, and just that very angle will make us feel like things can be hyper real and they can be kind of goofy. And the comment was liked by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. So I can't take credit. I'm not trying to take credit for this movie. I'm sure maybe other people also had that suggestion, but I do remember leaving that suggestion. And I mean, I don't need credit. I don't need my name up on the screen for this. You know what I mean? I didn't make this movie, but I just feel validated as I had this idea. Clearly, someone saw it and recognized it, and it doesn't have to. I'm sure I'm not the only one who said something like that. You know, it just makes the most sense. I think it's just the most logical way to approach the characters, and then for them to actually realize that, I'm just happy to see it. You know, I feel no such ownership because they're only just being true to the comics by picking the time period where the characters came from. And I think that's part of what makes the movie wonderful, the time period, but also it's such a different time period because the Fantastic Four exists. So this movie takes place in the 60s. The Fantastic Four have been at it for 4 years. You're seeing them fight Galactus and Silver Surfer. The Galactus presentation is amazing. When Galactus comes down to Earth, oh, worth the price of admission moments, okay? Spoiler free, worth the price of admission moments, okay? The opening 10 minutes of this movie, worth the price of admission. It's just a perfect intro that sets the tone, introduces us to the world, made me believe in Mr. Fantastic as a legitimate action hero, and just gets us into that Fantastic Car. The Fantastic Car. That's the number 2 worth the price of admission moment. Silver Surfer's arrival. When you first see her, she looks so real. And I don't know if it actually, her first close-up, the camera's just coming around her, and it looks like a real silver statue, but as a woman. And I'm wondering if that actually was a physical thing that they shot, because it seemed too real. You know, and it made me buy it for the rest of the movie. But then the scenes that are not in the trailer, where you get to see Galactus and Silver Surfer, awesome. It's just awesome. I mean, this just feels like, again, Incredibles in true form as the Fantastic Four. Like the plot thickens, things get harder and harder all the way to the end, and absolutely the ending worth the price of admission. I think, you know, I talked about Superman 2 weeks ago, and I was really happy and proud of what James Gunn had done. Maybe he really is a better fit for DC. Who knows? Because I like the Guardians movies, but I thought Superman was heads over heads over feet or whatever. I thought Superman was on another level, and perhaps because he'd already done the Guardians movies, he just really knew what he was doing at that point, because I just thought, it's, I don't think, is it perfect? No, but is it totally in the right direction of what Superman's supposed to be? Yeah. And that's what I feel this Fantastic Four was. But in the differences, I liked Fantastic Four. Not really comparing the two, but I loved it a lot more. I felt like my complaints about this movie are so minor. They are detail curmudgeon complaints, and only a true stickler for perfection type of complaints, because I just feel like, oh, on the whole, this movie's so solid. And then when we get to that finale, like I said, a true Fantastic Four versus Silver Surfer and Galactus movie. They do not disappoint on that premise. As far as I saw in the trailer, they don't spoil anything in the trailer, which I love. I think the problem is, even with the Superman trailer, you get to see a lot, and you don't see everything. There's a lot hidden, which is great, but you do see a lot, and it teases a lot, and you have all this time to wonder where all these points connect, and you just get lucky that the movie delivers in such a way that the trailer didn't spoil everything. In the case of the Fantastic Four trailer, at least that first initial official trailer, I mean, they really just gave us little breadcrumbs for what this experience was. I was deeply pleased. The whole movie is worth the price of admission. And to be fair, I didn't pay for it. I am unemployed right now, and this was a treat from my friend, my dearest friend. And with that in mind, if you like this review, please like and subscribe and help me on the path to becoming monetized, so that if I don't find a job soon, which I desperately need, that this can start helping me out. But that's just a personal plug, out of desperation. Other than that, seriously, this was a fantastic movie. I was really surprised. That's as spoiler free as I can get. Ralph Ineson, who I'm sure I've seen in other movies before. I saw him in Nosferatu last year. He was excellent in that. His voice is great as Galactus. Paul Walter Hauser shows up in this movie as, I forgot what he's called, is the mole. He's Mole Man. But again, because of Incredibles, I'm like, the Underminer? The Underminer's in this movie? Okay. Hats off to the incredible work done in this movie. I think the movie is fantastic. I don't care what the haters say. And stop calling people shills because they like something. I mean, there could be nothing lower and there's nothing lower, less classy, and less and more showing of a weak arguer. You're a very weak person in the case of an argument. So if you need to call someone who likes something a shill, I'm just like, people can just like things, and you don't have to like them. I like pepper jack cheese. Not everybody likes pepper jack cheese. Some people exclusively eat American cheese. I love pepper jack. Colby Jack is good. Colby Pepper Jack is sublime. Okay? And you know what? You know what the Fantastic Four movie is? It's Colby Pepper Jack. This is Colby Pepper Jack in your eyeballs and ears. And I only wish I had the good change in my pocket and an IMAX theater, because this only works, what I'm going to say only works for that. If only I had the change in my pocket and an IMAX theater to go see this in IMAX, because I have a feeling that it's so very worth it, because it was already worth it on the regular screen. And actually, I saw it with my roommates. Both of them liked it, which is rare. Usually, if I'm lucky, I get one of them to like a movie that I like. We always agree on the horror, if we like it or don't like it. When it comes to action movies, we're always either or. And so this is, again, it was Superman. I liked it. Roommates didn't like it. This one, we all liked it. Not as big of a clap as Superman, but the claps themselves were louder. This was a happy theater. And the end credits do stick around, at least for the mid-credit scene. You don't really need to worry about the end credit scene. I think um, it's kind of like the Superman final end credit scene where it's like, oh, well, that was a cute thing to see, but I did I need to sit here for it? No. I think, but that mid credit scene you have to wait for because it's good. It's short and good. Or is it bad? That's all I can say. I don't want to spoil it. So that's my spoiler free review. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Help me on the goal to monetization so I can stop being poor and depending on my friends and family to survive. And or hopefully I'll just get a job soon. I'm applying, man. It's tough, dude. It's a tough market out there. That's the real world, and you're not here for the real world. You're here for that fantasy world, and Fantastic Four is fantastic. And God, I cannot stress enough how cool the Fantastic car is. This is the first time since the Tumbler that I have wanted to have a superhero car. The Tumbler, when that smashed through theaters in 2005, it owned me. It owned me. I have two of them right now. I custom painted one because I love it. Actually, no, I have three. One's tiny. I love the Tumbler. The Fantastic car. Mr. Incredible's car. No, that was cool in the movie. The Fantastic car. 4 fingers of fantastic support for the Fantastic car. Okay? Double peace signs. 4 fingers of fantastic love. Okay? Alright, that's my spoiler-free thoughts. Stick around. In a couple days, I'll have my spoiler full review for Fantastic Four First Steps, where I go into some of my favorite scenes and all that good jazz. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Movie nerds, dorks, and weirdos, I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a fantastic day. Mahalo and aloha.